Welcome to the PPV Podcast. This is episode 1. My name is Eric Dominguez. I started this, first of all, I started the concept of this podcast maybe 2 years ago. Um, I've really only started working on it actively within the past couple weeks. So, something about me is um, I do this thing where I have like this really good idea or concept or whatever it is, and I will find every excuse not to go through with it. I know I'm not alone in that. That's a common thing, but this is something that I thought was really important for a lot of different reasons. And I'll get into that why here in a second. So, this is the first episode. The goal of this is to basically describe what PPV means, what it stands for, why I came up with this, and ultimately what the goal of this whole thing is. So, before I do that, it's important for me to introduce myself so you can kind of get a glimpse into my worldview through my lens. And the best way to do that is just to talk about who I am. So, I am a firefighter here in the Phoenix area. Um, I've been doing this for about 8 years now. And prior to that, I was in the Marine Corps for 5 years. I grew up in Southern California. My dad was a police officer in the greater Los Angeles area. So, me and my brother grew up pretty much with my dad being a police officer. And I think as we grew up, we kind of realized that, we were different and maybe saw things differently than friends whose dads had white collar jobs or, jobs that weren't in public safety. As I got older and got into the military and now into the fire department, it makes perfect sense why we thought that, because it's true. Like, public safety, first responders, healthcare, military veterans, like, I think we're different, which kind of attracts us to that line of work to begin with. But then once you're in that line of work, I think that the nature of the job kind of changes you a little bit. So, that all being said, in my department right now that I'm a part of, I am on a committee, two different committees. One of them is called Member Services. That committee is basically responsible for the well-being of our members, of our firefighters on our department. So, if there's a really traumatic call, let's say it's a pediatric code, pediatric drowning, right? A really traumatic call, we have the power to, we'll get a notification on our phone. We'll have the power to go down to the station. Oftentimes I'll take like ice cream and we'll just sit and talk. We'll talk about the call. We'll talk about different emotions they might be going through. Sometimes it's somebody's fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, whatever, 100th time running that call. Sometimes it's somebody's very first time running that kind of call. So we basically just try to spark up some conversation at the kitchen table, talking about feelings, which is a funny thing for us to do as first responders. Um, you know, we always encourage people to seek out help. The old saying, if you see something, say something, comes to mind, right? Like, if you see something wrong, then say something. If in the military, it's if you see something suspicious, report it. You say something. In the fire service, especially as paramedics, EMTs, whatever, if you see something, say something. If I, show up on a patient and I notice their arm is broken, it's really easier for me to tell them, hey, your arm's broken, you're going to need to go to the hospital, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's really easy for me to identify the issue and kind of figure out the path to fixing the issue. When it comes to mental health, it's kind of similar. Um, I know my crew really well. When I see someone on the crew struggling, hey, man, you don't look right today. Like, you don't look like you're acting your normal self. Something's going on. I can tell. What can I do to help? Whatever it is. When it's me, that's going through something, the last thing I want is somebody noticing that. The last thing I want is somebody seeing anything in me that's different and saying anything to me. Like, I want to shut down. I want to be in my own head. I don't want to hear anybody else. Like, it really is hard for us to get out of our own heads. So, The other thing that I'm involved with, I said two things. The other thing I'm involved with is our wellness committee. I co-chair that, so that is just general wellness, anything from like cancer to better equipment for our people. So I guess what I'm trying to do is just build some credibility with myself. Like I'm really involved in the wellness community, mental health community. I've had to go have talks with different crews after traumatic events and traumatic calls. So this is something that I started thinking about pretty naturally. So PPV is positive pressure ventilation. In the fire service, it's a term that essentially means we are going to set up fans at the front door and blow out all this smoke in simple terms. So I want you to think about a house that is on fire and you pull up to the house, there's smoke pouring out from all sides of it. This thing is going. You go inside, the entire house is completely pitch black, full of smoke. The inside is totally pressurized. You can't even see your hand in front of your face. Truly, on these fires that are hot, they're dangerous. You cannot see your hand in front of your face. What this does is obviously, number one, it reduces our visibility, which means that it is very difficult for us to keep track of where we're going, where our hose lines are, where our crew is. Meanwhile, we still have to search for victims who might be needing help. And we still have to find the fire and start putting it out. So PPV comes in when we're able to start putting a little bit of water on the fire just to get it under control so we're not making matters worse. When we start getting some water on that fire, I can call for help. As a captain, I can call for help from the outside. Hey, we're ready for PPV. Go ahead and start the fans. Once I call for help, I know that crews outside, they're going to set up a fan and they're going to start blowing fresh, good, clean air from the outside into that house. And we can either make an exhaust point, like open a door from the opposite side of the house, or sometimes it comes from vertical ventilation where a ladder will actually cut a hole into the top of the roof. But some type of exhaust point where we can take all that fresh air, use a fan, supercharge it, pressurize the inside of this house, and blow all that smoke and toxic gas out of the house. Thinking about this as a tactic really made me think about it in terms of mental health. In here is a very toxic environment for some people at some point in their life. You all know what I'm talking about because you've likely all been there before. I know I have. But this can be a very toxic, cloudy, a low to no visibility place where it's very hard for you to see. It's very hard for you to have a vision for your future when you're that clouded. It's important for us to, one, start to address the issue, which is our seat of the fire. We have to find the seat of the fire. Um, in firefighting terms, if we just open a door and start flowing air into the house without finding the seat of the fire and putting water on it, it's like fanning a fire or kind of blowing on tinder to get it started. That oxygen needs fire. It's going to grow and it's going to get a whole lot bigger and a whole lot worse. So, in my mind, this kind of relates to we can't receive help until we're ready to actually address the root of what is going on. So one, we have to find the seat of the fire. Two, we have to ultimately find an exhaust point that we can open up and prepare to send all those toxins out and away from us. So for me, that exhaust point is like, what are your hobbies? What are the things that you like to do to relieve stress? For me, a lot of it is physical activity. I try to take my negative energy, my negative thoughts, anything that I feel that's just negatively nagging and weighing on me, and I'll try to bring that up to my forefront and use that as energy to be expended during a physical activity, whether it's the gym, a swim, a hike, a run, whatever it is. I feel like when I can use that negative energy to really like fuel me and turn that into a physical activity, it's almost like literally getting worked out of me. I always feel better after I work out. And when you start doing this, like really bringing this up this awareness of the negativity in your life and trying to like put it on your plate right in front of you and using that as fuel. Like if you don't do that, try it, and it will help you just like, oh man, I feel so much better. I feel relaxed. um, so that's something that I do. But find an exhaust point. Find something that will help give you relief. And then the last thing, PPV. Like you have to find some way to allow that fresh air, whether it's through conversation, grabbing drinks with a friend, seeking professional help. Like you have to find some way to allow and call for that help, to allow that fresh air to come in and start pressurizing that space positively and allow those toxic gases to be pushed out and leave. That is like my whole vision for this podcast. It's a really simple name, but there's so many connections to the things that I do at work, from a wellness standpoint, but also like a technical and tactical standpoint, that it makes a lot of sense to me. What happens when that smoke gets released? Your environment is immediately better. I'm a safer person inside the house. I can have better accountability for not only myself, but my crew. I can now see and even hear if there's other people that are inside of the house that are victims that need to be rescued. If they are, it's a whole lot easier to develop a rescue plan. All of that stuff becomes extremely easy. Like literally going inside of a room, pulling someone out and taking them out, and hey, we got a victim. In a smoked out environment, I literally have to touch every single surface. I have to keep my hand on a wall or on a hose line to make sure I even know where I'm going. If I take my hand off of one of those, the wall or the hose line, I am lost. Like it sounds so funny, but people have gotten lost in a bathroom because you get so turned around, you're in completely pitch black visibility, you can't see anything. So clear vision and good visibility is important for so many reasons. But like I said, you know, once your environment becomes more clear, those toxic gases and smoke leave that environment. You can see so much clearly, but you're also able to help others around you. So I kind of mentioned this in the beginning, but I say this a lot. Like the most important place in the fire service is the kitchen table. The kitchen table is generally a long table in the kitchen, and that's where we do our pass on. We sit down, we talk about different things on the shift, different things that we need to fix on the truck, whatever it is, like just important items. But also at the kitchen table, a lot of our senior people kind of mentor our younger generation. Good stories of different fires, different dangers that they faced, different situations that had they handled differently, it would have been a horrible outcome or maybe even a better outcome. But also at the kitchen table comes those sit down talks that I do when the crews run a really traumatic call. Um, we sit down at that kitchen table and we literally just try to talk, like just try to share our perspective on things to essentially allow us to feel like, hey, I'm not alone. Like, I wish I could film some of these, but it would obviously, like, that's not right. And I would never do that. But I wish you guys could see how some of these conversations go. Like, I'll kind of give a quick intro. This is what I'm here for, blah, blah, blah. And then I just kind of let them open it up. And you see like nobody saying anything. And as soon as one person says something, you'll see like everyone opening up. Like it's very powerful just talking. And that talk is what helps us become better people, not only at work, but for our families, for our loved ones, and the community that we serve. Um, like as first responders, just because we have that title, just because we went through the academy, just because we wear the shirt with the rank and the Maltese cross or whatever you have, like just because you have that stuff does not make you a hero. What makes you a hero is the way that you treat people, the way that you hold yourself accountable, your actions, the way that you speak. Being a hero to me, like if you go ask my kids, being a hero is not, it's not me being a dad. Like being a dad doesn't make me a qualifier to be their hero. Um, But I would hope that, you know, as they go on in life, they can say that I'm their hero because he treats people well. He handles himself, as a good Christian father. He um, teaches us good, sound lessons in life. Like, he listens to me when I need help. Like, there's so many different things that make people heroes, and just because we are first responders, like that doesn't make us heroes. Um, but it does make things worse sometimes when we have problems at home, whether it's financial, relationship, emotional drainage from calls. Like, when we have stuff going on at home, now we have to go on shift and we're expected to run on different people that are calling us for help, and we're supposed to be there to help them. Like, it makes things really difficult, but we owe it to, like, the community, we owe it to the people that we serve every day to be the best that we can be. And again, like, just talking about our experiences, our challenges, our struggles, I think that's a great place to start. Me personally, like, I'm tired about hearing about awareness. I'm tired about hearing, oh, we got to do this because it brings awareness. Oh, this raises awareness. I like, great, we're all aware of the different things that people and first responders struggle with, but how about some action? For me, this is action. Like, I want to have people on this show that are comfortable sharing their challenges, their struggles, what they went through, and how they overcame it. Like, I want to hear what was their exhaust point. Like, what did they do to allow those gases to start getting out of those toxic environments, to start leaving them? What was their source of PPV? Like, what in their life was that charge to lead forward that positive energy through them to help them get back on track? Like, there's so many different things that we go through, and everyone is so truly different and unique that we all have a different way of dealing with things, but then also overcoming things. Like, resiliency is a term that's coined for a lot of different things, but resiliency is so unique to the individual. I want to know what makes you resilient. And the goal is, hopefully someone listening can latch onto that and apply that in their life. So I want to bring our kitchen table to you. I want to bring our sit downs and our talks and um, our education at the table from our members to you. The other thing that I want to do is, I also want to hear from, like, wives, mothers, fathers, daughter, whatever, loved ones, family members of first responders, because I want to know how maybe them going through a tough time affected them. Um, I know when I was going through some tough things, one of the last things I ever even considered was, man, how does that affect my wife? How does that affect my kids? How does that affect my home life? It wasn't until, my wife really brought that up to me and put it right in my face, like, hey, this is what's going on, and this is, like, where we're at right now. It's like, wow, I never considered that, which is funny because she is raising our kids. Like, my shift is 48/96, so a third of our life as firefighters, like, she's raising the kids completely by herself. And I never once stopped to think, like, how is she being affected by this? So I want to hear that. I want to hear from the new dad who has a brand new baby at home and now has to go to shift, get off, up all night. They're back home, baby's up all night, mom's tired, cranky. That causes strain. Like, I've been there too. I want to hear from the new dad, um, to see how they're doing, what they're going through, the things that they do to kind of help keep them on track. I want to hear from the wife that's struggling, because her husband is struggling, or the father that's, having a tough time at home because, you know they're having struggles with their kids making connections. Like, I've been there too. It's tough. This job is so tough, and there's really no rule book or guideline that helps us deal with it. This is it, hopefully. There's so many, like, different SOGs, SOPs, offline, all this different stuff, but there's not really anything that helps us be guided in a good direction other than us. Like, we are our brother's keeper. We are our sister's keeper. Like, this is for my brothers and sisters, like, at work. Like, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear from police. I want to hear from veterans. I want to hear from other firefighters. I want to hear from nurses, doctors, PAs. Like, I want to know your struggles and how you got through them. And ultimately, I think that's going to help our community thrive. And that's what we should be doing. We should be thriving, and we should be a point of light for those that are looking for help, which in our arena is daily. Like, that's what we do. People call us on their worst days, and they're expecting us to show up and help. We are in such a blessed position to show up and be a light, a true source of radiance into their life, to provide positivity and good energy to them, to help them maybe change their mindset or change their perspective or change their outlook on the world, to maybe help give them another chance in life. We can do that so easily because of how vulnerable a lot of people are in their time of need. And I think we need to recognize how blessed we are to also be in a position to do that with each other as first responders, as veterans, right? I think that we are in such a good position, but we just need to open up that dialogue, and we just need to have that good communication without judgment. So this is episode 1. Thank you for listening. As we go on, like, I'd love feedback. If you or someone you know is comfortable sharing your challenges, your story, your successes, your highs, your lows. Like, if you're someone like that, I would love to sit down and talk with you. I have a couple people that I've reached out to already that I'm excited to have on. And as this goes on, I promise, like, I'll get better equipment, but I wanted to get this started and stop delaying with all the excuses. So I'm looking forward to the future. Thank you all for listening. Um, have a great November. Today's November 1, so it's already a beautiful day. Yeah, let's go change the world.